User authentication in 2023 does not need to be as difficult as it is. Thankfully, Clerk makes that really easy by doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So today, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to set up authentication. Tech stack today is going to be just a plain React application so that anyone can follow along. So let's get started. So go ahead and open up your favorite text editor and type in yarn create React app, and we're going to call this Clerk React demo. While this is installing, I'm going to go ahead and create an account and a project on Clerk. So go ahead into your dashboard and create new application, and we're going to call this React demo. We're going to be doing no email, and just leave it at Google sign in. Go ahead and create your application. Cool. Now the next thing we want to do is actually open up the React Quick Start. Now you can see they have a bunch of support for whatever framework you use and are comfortable with. But for today, again, we're just going to be doing React. And although this is the current documentation, we're going to actually be doing their new docs just to avoid any errors that the old documentation has. And we're going to do React. Cool. Now we're going to go ahead and copy the section right here. Another cool thing I want to show off is the way their documentation works. So you can actually change the project, and depending on the project, it'll show you the environment variables. So for this project, we called it React Demo, and you can see here the environment variables. All right, now that that's done installing, we're going to install two packages, Clerk package and React Router DOM, and that's all we're going to need for this project. So go ahead and add that, and React Router DOM. Alright, now that that's done installing, we're just going to tidy up the code a bit. I don't need the app.css as well as all of this because we're going to be replacing it. And you can just do empty JSX element tags and also get rid of the test file. So go ahead and save that. And I'm not also going to need the index.css. The next thing we need to do is set the environment variables. So this has to store them in .env.local. So we're going to go ahead and do that and then switch over to the beta docs. So now that we have that, go ahead and add that in the root directory, .env.local. Go ahead and paste that, and boom, that's all we need for the environment variables. Now, one step to make sure you don't accidentally push your environment variable keys is to either create a git ignore, or if it's already created for you, make sure that .env.local is inside. All right, so we're going to head back to the documentation. And so Clerk, the way it works is you wrap your entire application with the Clerk provider, and in there you'll pass in your environment variable. So go ahead and copy all of this. And for this, we're not going to do it inside of app. We're going to do it inside of index.js. So inside of here, we'll just do that. And then inside of here, we're actually going to create a new component, and we're going to call this clerk with routes. Now, the reason we do this is so that we can use a hook that React Router DOM provides called use navigate. So let's go ahead and do that. Const navigate is equal to use navigate. And this should be imported from... Oh, I guess it's not showing. So let's just manually import that. Import use navigate from React Router DOM. And we're also going to need a couple of other things such as browser router, routes, and route. All right, so inside of here, we'll wrap the entire thing. And then inside of here, we'll do clerk with routes. Now that we have this, we can now configure this section. So we're going to return, and then we're going to pass in the clerk provider. Now, if you scroll just a bit down, you see using a routing library with clerk. Now, because we are using React Router DOM, we want to follow this section. And the reason we do that is so that clerk knows how to navigate between pages. For example, if we need to redirect a user, or if we manually click the sign in button. So we're going to go ahead and copy these two. Now that we have that, we can begin setting up our routes. So we're going to have a router, routes, and then inside of here, we'll have a route. This is supposed to be browser router. Now the base one, the first one that we want is this index route. And so this is a route where it could either be a logged in user or a logged out user. So nothing fancy. So go ahead and replace that. And we're going to replace that with app. Now the next one we need is sign in and sign up. So go ahead and copy and paste that. Now the really cool thing with Clerk again is they do a lot of the heavy lifting. So you don't even need to design your own authentication pages like sign in and sign up. They do it for you. And it's just a component that you call. So we just import that as well. Sign up. And this is not the only thing they provide. They provide things like user buttons, organization. So if you have like a project that needs organizations, you can also set that up and all the UI is done for you. And the last route we need is our protected route to make sure that authentication works. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. Now there is a slight bug with this. This section right here is not wrapped in JSX elements, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you are following this tutorial, make sure that you add it after copying and pasting this. So we're going to go ahead and copy. And you see that it's already screaming at you. JSX expressions must have one parent element. So we're going to go ahead and just wrap it like this. And then go ahead and import all of these. Signed in. And then we have to create this route and then signed out. Now what this is saying is basically if the user signed in, render this page. If they're signed out, redirect to sign in because we don't want them accessing the page at all. So imagine this is something like /admin or /profile. You know, you don't want a non-logged in user to access that page. So the next thing we want to do is actually set up the protected page. So go ahead and create that. Protected. And inside of here, we're actually just going to render the user button. And I'll show you what that looks like once this is all done. Cool. Don't forget to export. And we will need to import that as well. Now, one thing we're going to do slightly differently is actually have a redirect URL. Basically what this is saying is after the user signed in, go to this URL instead. So we're going to go to /protected, and the same thing is here, /protected. Now inside of our app.js, we need a way to sign in. So we're just going to render a simple href tag. And this is just going to go to sign in. And this is going to say sign in. And we don't need this as well as the app.css. Now, if we did everything right, we should be set up and good to go. I realized I made a mistake and I added all of the packages inside of the wrong place. So we're going to have to reinstall them again. So cd into clerk react demo. And then we're just going to have to re-add them real quick. All right, now that we've added the packages, we should be good to go. So yarn start to start the React server. Now I ran into an error. I completely forgot to erase the index.css file inside of our index. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And I think we should be good to go now. Cool. Now you should see a sign in link. So go ahead and click that. And you'll see a continue with Google. Again, like I said, they do all the UI for you, so you don't need to. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't customize it. This is all fully customizable, so you don't need to worry about that. So go ahead and sign in. And boom, you should see a user's button right here. So here you'll see the account, manage account, and just a bunch of cool features like where you're logged in. You can set a password, you can connect new accounts. Now, the reason you won't be able to connect account is because you need to configure that. So go back into your dashboard and you want to go to User Authentication and click Social Connections. And you can see all the different options. Now, the really cool thing with Clerk is while you're in development, you don't need to configure any of these keys until you're in production. So you can add as many of these in development, and you don't need to worry about going through each one to set up your OAuth keys. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add GitHub. Go ahead and hit save. And that's pretty much it. So if we go back to our project and sign out, we should see a new one called Connect with GitHub. So go ahead and click that. And if we did everything right, you should see that these two are linked under the same account. And that's because it shares the same email. So you don't need to worry about it creating duplicate user accounts. Clerk handles all of that connection for you. Feel free to leave any questions or bugs you run into in the comment section. I'm always active in there, so don't be shy.